Hello Internet! Gino, aka That Pinguino, here again with another deep look. This time I'm taking a look at Final Fantasy VIII and the junction system. So the junction system is pretty much Final Fantasy VIII main combat system, main character development system. Think like the materia system from Final Fantasy VII or the job system from any other number of Final Fantasies. This is VIII's equivalent to those systems. So the way the junction system works, it intertwines with a whole bunch of subsystems and stuff, so I'm going to try and break this up into a few different videos, kind of showcasing different elements of junctioning, so that it's not too, I'm not talking too much and it just gets to be too overwhelming if I try to explain it all at once. So today I'm just going to straight up show off the difference between a junctioned character and an unjunctioned character. I'll explain very basic what is junctioning, why does it matter. So junctioning, quite simply put, is taking a summon or GF, Guardian Force, in this game and equipping it to a character. So you can equip summons in this game just like you would a sword or armor in other games. So I unequipped Shiva, I equipped Shiva. So equipping a summon gives the character who that summon is equipped to, gives them access to a bunch of abilities that the summon learns. Like Strength Junction here, I can junction magic to strength, magic to spirit. I gain access to these menu commands, just basic combat commands like magic, GF, draw, item, and it also lets me refine magic from items, in this case water and ice magic from an item. I won't get into that because that's a whole nother subsystem that's worth looking at in its own video. So what junctioning does is basically it equips, just like a sword or armor, it equips a spell to a stat. In this case I'm going to equip water to my strength. So without equipping water, his strength's 20. With equipping water, it jumps up to 40. I can equip thunder to his spirit. It goes from 8 to 9. So just with those basic equips, Squall's abilities have jumped up pretty significantly. So the interesting thing about the junction system, beyond just turning magic into kind of an equipment, is that enemies in Final Fantasy VIII scale along with the average level of your party, which means that there's really no benefit to leveling up in Final Fantasy VIII. Your enemies will scale with your party, and the amount of stats you gain for leveling up aren't really that high in relation to the amount of just abilities and extra HP and extra damage that your enemies start doing. So grinding really is a negative in FF8. There's really not a lot of point to it. It'll hurt you more than it helps. So as you saw, I did about 80-90 damage with Squall when he's unjunctioned, unequipped. So if I go ahead and head back into the menu and suit him up with water and thunder, I'm going to go ahead and heal him so he doesn't get killed. You saw I did a limit break, that move Renzo Kuken. That actually lets Squall hit enemies a bunch of times. In this game, if you're at about 10% HP, around that level, you can actually just keep cycling your turn until you get a limit break, and you can use limit breaks as many times as you want as long as you're low on life. So it's almost the right way to play this game. It's probably the right way to play this game. Just keep all of your characters at low life at all times, just so that you can just be hitting with limit breaks over and over and over and over again. Which, you're already dealing a ton of damage, but being able to do it multiple times, or there are limit breaks that just completely wipe out enemies, just one hit kill them. You can do that all the time, which is probably a design flaw. So you can see I'm dealing about 261 damage now, 260. So that little 20 strength boost tripled my damage output, almost. So you can see the power of a junction. And water, which is the spell I have right now, isn't even especially good. It's just one of the first spells you can really get 100 of really easily. So what FF8 has done here in making junctioning important is it's, like I said, disincentivizing grinding, but it's also incentivizing getting 100 uses of spells, gaining access to just huge stat boosts. So you can actually draw spells from enemies. So I'm going to go ahead and draw sleep from this thing. So I got 5 uses of sleep. Now that means I'm going to be able to junction that to any of my stats. I can use those copies of sleep whenever I see fit. And I could actually do that indefinitely. I can just keep drawing as long as I want. So I can, in one fight, easily get 100 uses of a spell. Now, what this means is, instead of kind of the normal RPG, jrpg system, where you just want to run through battles as fast as possible to accumulate experience, FF8 kind of turns that on its head and says, no, actually you want to stay in a fight for as long as possible. You want to be fighting the same enemy for as long as you can, because you want to get all 100 uses of every spell that it has, so that you have the maximum amount of customization available to you. And you also don't gain experience, because gaining experience just causes enemies to scale. So instead of rifling through fights as fast as possible, FF8 kind of asks you to sit in one fight. Just settle down. Hang out with some terrible monster for about a good 2, 3, 4 minutes, and get as much out of that fight as you can. Wring every little bit of value as you can out of that fight. Now, some people think this might not be super fun. I think it's super interesting. And some people find it really boring that FF8 basically isn't challenging as long as you know the junction system. But I like to think that FF8 kind of, it should be more challenging, but it reallocates its rewards from time investment to knowledge investment and skill and expertise. So the more in-depth knowledge you have about this system, the junction system, the more rewards you'll get, the faster you'll be able to play this game. Which really means that in most games, you probably wouldn't be able to touch a speedrun speed. Like in FF8, the speedrun record is like 9 hours or 10 hours. I don't think I could get anywhere near that, but because the junction system is so powerful and I have pretty deep knowledge of it, I wouldn't be surprised if I could get like 15 hours or 20 for what is supposed to be a 40-hour game, just because of really knowing how the systems work. And it wouldn't involve like skipping large amounts of content. It would simply be from running through the fights like a hot knife through butter and avoiding fights. So that's the first look at the junction system, just looking at the impact of it on combat and the impact on your stats. I'll do a couple more videos breaking down some of the other kind of super interesting innovations of the junction system. So, hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know. I'm going to keep my string of terrible sign-offs, so go ahead and viva la video game!